my goats. Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats. Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Notes My Goats podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Steve.
And it is a Friday episode, guys, because you know what? On Fridays, we always bring in special guests. We always do. And this one is pretty special, Steve.
It's a little further away than we're used to.
Which means he's probably cooler than us.
More than likely.
Absolutely.
For what we know about him already, he is definitely cooler than both of us.
100%. 100%. So, Steve, who are we talking to today?
I just love his facial expressions when we give him compliments. Nobody's even talked to him yet. I love this.
Right.
So, guys, a couple weeks ago, I reached out on a Facebook page and said, hey, we're looking for guests to be on a music podcast, looking for, favorite bands and whatnot. A few people reached out. One of them was our guest today. It's FOXXY, goes by. He's a radio DJ in Australia, guys. Give it up for Lance Fox. Hey, Lance, what's going on,
Queensland,
man?
Australia.
Oh,
Queensland.
Man. So, okay. So let's see. It is just for reference. It is 8:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here when we're recording. What time is it right now for you?
It is officially 10:55 on Monday.
Oh my gosh.
Monday
See, and
morning.
it's Sunday night.
Monday morning, right?
Lance is in the future, guys.
Lance is in the future.
freaking future.
Yeah, we got a sci-fi theme going today by the looks of it, talking back and forward in time. It's good.
I like
great.
it. Plus we're going way back in time with an album here. So, Lance, what are we talking about today?
Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You. It's like one of the first albums I ever heard and fell in love with. It's Rob Thomas. How can you not go past Robbie?
Yeah,
You're definitely right there. He's kind of a America's sweetheart there for a minute, and he
Definitely.
did really well for quite a while there. Now, Matchbox. So is there something about Matchbox 20 other than Rob Thomas that just kind of brought you to them, or just was your first album, or?
Yes, so it all started back, I think I was like 6 or 7 when it came out. And I remember my mum used to do house cleaning on Sundays, and she'd crank it up. And I actually started looking forward to Sundays and cleaning the house purely to listen to Matchbox 20. And then I just fell in love with the sound, the rock, and that sort of started my love for music as well. So you've got to pay credit where credit's due, I guess.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. I definitely. Now, and I didn't actually know this, but Matchbox 20 is almost bigger in Australia than they are in the US. Like they are huge in Australia.
And
Like
I
even-
missed the opportunity to see them live. I'm spewing.
Really?
Yeah, every time they've come down under, I've always been busy. So one of the bands that I've never been able to see live.
Interesting. All right.
Are they still touring?
I don't know because of COVID. I think a lot of
yeah.
things get put on hold, especially down here. But prior to that, I think they came down a couple of times. So
Okay.
Yeah, there's the shows are starting to twink back through. So things are starting to kind of ease back in a little bit as the restrictions kind of come down and they figure out how to work with COVID. So I think it's coming back to quote unquote normal shortly. I'm hoping something, at least some sort of semblance of what it used to be a couple of years ago, which is actually, as of recording 2 years ago today in the US went full shutdown. Like for us in Michigan, we went full shutdown 2 years ago today.
Yeah.
For what seemed like ever. It was only a few months, but it seemed like it was years. Which spawned this podcast actually. So it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
So Matchbox 20, guys, American rock band formed in 1995 in one of my favorite places in the whole wide world, Orlando, Florida. Everything's
happiest place
awesome.
on earth.
Yes, exactly. It comes out of Orlando. It just is what it is.
You're right.
So they were active from 95 to 2004, did take a slight break for a couple of years. And then from 2007 to present day. So they are still doing things actively. They've had only 5 total albums, which is crazy compared to how many years they've been kind of going.
Right.
But over 20 million albums sold. Only 5 albums, they've sold 20 million albums.
That's not bad.
24 singles, guys, 4 Grammy noms, 0 wins. They did take, in that 95 to 2004 range, they did take a couple of small breaks though, because Rob Thomas did have his solo career, which kind of took off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually did bring out something recently for touring. They haven't announced a tour international yet, but they do have a North American tour with the Wallflowers. That's been postponed a couple of times due to COVID, but it's supposed to happen in 2023. So maybe that one will go international as well. You can see the Wallflowers too. If you haven't seen those guys yet, I have seen those guys live. They are amazing. Now, Yourself or Someone Like You, we did mention, came out October 12th, 1996. Brandon, you were super young.
I was 6.
Lance, you probably were super young too.
Yeah, I think I was about 6 years old. Yeah, 6, 7 when it came
same
out.
age as Brandon there. So yeah, I was almost in high school. So both of you guys, I'm telling you, I was in middle school when they came out.
Nice.
It's 12 tracks, 47 minutes long, already perfect album length. That just under 50 minutes. We love that here.
Yep.
It makes things go by easier. It is style-wise, it's described as post-grunge American rock music. I just call it 90s rock.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right.
Like, it's not grunge, but it came on after kind of the big grunge wave here. So now this one, I did mention that they've sold 20 million albums. This one accounts for 15 of those 20 million.
Oh shit.
Sold 15 million albums, 12 times platinum in the US alone. It only sold 610 copies its first week.
610?
Like, yes, the 3 numbers, 610. Stop. No more. In the first week of this album, it sold 610 albums. And then
Wow.
it kind of took off slowly, and then Push came out and it went,
Yeah.
whoo.
Right.
So the album actually features themes of adolescence, adultery, loneliness, domestic violence, psychological abuse, humiliation, depression, anger, and alcoholism.
So,
You know, the 90s.
so fun.
The 90s.
The
Yeah, it's very
90s.
it's upbeat. It's a very upbeat album. You
Yeah.
know? Funny
Very
thing.
upbeat.
It's a very upbeat sound, you know, it happens. Originally though, this album was actually called The Woodshed Diaries. They originally wanted to call us The Woodshed Diaries, but after Rob Thomas and Paul Duquette, the drummer, heard a female artist claim that her next song was For You or Someone Like You, they demanded that the record company change the name of their album. At that time of pressing, there'd already been a couple 100,000 albums pressed. And mind you, they only sold 610 the first week.
I was
so
going
I'm
to
sure
say
the
that's probably why it happened, is because they had to reprint the
record company was pissed. They were just
Right.
like, what?
And they're like, all right, all of you take vacation, and then we're just going to have one guy working on
One guy.
press-
Yeah, it's just
pressing it.
forever here.
Right.
So before we get into the singles, they did have a little bit of controversy erupt on this one. So 9 years after the album was released, a New Yorker named Frank Torres sued the band for using his picture as the cover art. He
Oh, that's
claimed
that
to have,
guy?
yeah, he claimed to have seen the album 2 years prior to the lawsuit. So 7 years after the album was released, which I call bullshit, and said it brought him a lot of emotional distress. First of all, who the fuck is walking around New York in a bomber hat and some goggles
Yeah.
in like
I
the
mean,
middle of the
probably
90s?
a lot of people in the 90s, let's be honest.
I thought this was like from some dude in the 20s. They just got a stock photo
Oh,
somewhere of some
yeah.
random dude in like a cannonball. Like he was like one of those like human cannonball guys, and they were just like, use that guy. I didn't realize this is some dude walking around New York City in the mid 90s. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
But
But-
yeah.
There's no actual information on the lawsuit. I'm guessing they probably did settle with him, but Frank did poorly. Frank passed away in 2016 at 73.
Oh,
So
Rest
he
in
got his
peace.
moment of fame. Reminds me of the Nirvana album with the Naked Baby,
Yeah.
and now the No More
Yeah.
Naked Baby guy.
right.
Same basic idea, except at least Frank's
He
parents did
probably
something.
ran out of money from the first lawsuit, from the first go around of it, and then like he just needed to re-up it to
Yeah, why not?
make it
Get there.
relevant again.
So it did have six singles, guys.
Nice.
Usually that's a big red flag for us. 12 tracks, half of them are singles. So the singles were Push, Back to Good, Real World, Long Day. Oh no, only 5 singles and 3 a.m.
Yep.
So the 5 singles. I had my favorite song should have been the 6th single. But guys, yeah, 5 singles, 12 tracks. It's basically the first 5 of the first 6 tracks on the album.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert, listeners, sorry. It's the first 5 of the 6 tracks in the album. So
Yeah.
I got through all my stuff finally, made fun of some guy I don't know who got his picture taken in New York. He's
At least
dead
he was
now, doesn't matter.
clothed.
He was mostly,
That's
as
true.
far as we know. It's only from like the shoulders up, so you really don't understand what's going on down below.
That's 100% true. That's
And
true.
it was New York in the 90s. Who knows?
Yeah,
The
true.
90s are weird, man.
It's true.
So Lance, what was your favorite track in this album?
Mate, it's good.
And I can't deny the fact that you like me. Right now. You like me.
Got to be between Long Day and Back
Okay.
to Good. I know they're two varying different paces of song, but look, if I have to pick one, it's got to be Long Day because you can turn it on, you can sing to it, and I think everybody tries to do that Rob Thomas inflection on the voice.
Yeah.
when they don't sing it like a normal song.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you try to get that like extra twang in there a little bit, you try to get it. Nobody can pull the Rob Thomas out of it. I don't understand.
I butcher it each and every time, especially at karaoke.
But you still try. You got to go.
I try. I'll give it a go. Red hot track.
I love it. Brandon, what was your favorite track?
I picked 3 a.m. because this was a single. And when it started, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this one. I mean, guys, it's literally as simple as that. So 3 a.m. was my favorite on this one. Steve, what about you, man?
Dude, I picked the other song that should have been a single on this album. It's Girl Like That.
Yes.
So the song is basically like, I love the song structure and kind of how it sounds. It pulls you right in. But if you listen to the lyrics on this thing is deep as hell. Like it's deep and surface level all at the same time. If you read into it, it's about a relationship that's completely one-sided and the guy is not able to do enough to keep the girl happy, so she leaves. Surface level, it's a failed relationship on both ends and neither one can fill the needs for each other. But it's so upbeat. Like the music is so upbeat and Rob's voice is so like upbeat. You don't realize it's a super sad song. Like you're like I'm middle school listening to this and I'm just like, yeah, I want to be the girl like that. And I'm like, wait a second. What'd you do there? Like you can't do this. Like it sounds like a love song and it's really not. It's definitely not a love song.
I've got a terrible habit. So it's happened ever since I was a kid, even to today. So a lot of the time I don't really listen to the lyrics of songs. I'm all about like the beat and the melody.
Yeah.
And I've got into trouble a few times whenever I've heard a song, and if it sounds catchy and vibey, I don't listen to what it's about. There's a lot of people out there that song's about this. You shouldn't be, So I sort of I even got in a bit of trouble with an ex-girlfriend a couple of years ago. There's that Chris Brown song, Loyal. And so that song was playing at the club when I first met her. And about a year later, I was saying that like we're driving and that song came on the radio. I said, this song reminds me of you, not actually realizing in my head that the song was about women not being loyal. Yeah. And that caused a massive argument. So it's got me in trouble a few times.
That's great. That's fantastic. Usually,
that's funny.
Note to self, guys: if you ever pick a Chris Brown album as your song as your favorite for your significant other, don't do it.
Just don't go there.
Don't pick a Chris Brown track.
Right.
I can imagine that getting in trouble on the radio a little bit too. Like this is about lovers and friends, and you're like, whoa,
what is it?
I copped it so I did a gig in Sydney a couple of years ago. I was like right after remember, I still to this day don't know how he has a career with the whole Me Too movement and everything that's been going on. Because I mean, after what happened with Rihanna, he just sort of come back onto the scene and it was all fine. No one sort of spoke about it. But I remember I played one of his songs at this nightclub I was DJing in, and this woman came up to me and she went ballistic, nearly assaulting me, saying that I support women bashers for playing one of his songs on the dance floor. I mean, yeah, so haven't really gone too much near Chris Brown.
Yeah, I would stay away from Chris Brown. Probably R. Kelly's probably not one you want to go with right now.
No.
I'd leave him on the back burner for a little while.
Unless you're
spoiler
us,
alert,
Steve.
come back in May, guys, when we do. Yeah, unless you're us, because we're gonna do 12 play in May.
Ooh.
When he gets sentenced for dropping 12 play. It's great. It's not great. Don't ever play any of those songs on the radio.
No.
It gives you the heebie-jeebies listening to him now. You're just like, we should have saw this coming.
I was gonna say with 12 play, we should have known something was going on with R. Kelly. Let's just be honest.
Back in '93. So
right.
Brandon, we're gonna play our game, right?
We are, guys. It's time for the word association name game.
Let's play Wayne. Let's play Wayne. Word association name game.
Yep. Sounds good to me, man. Let's go.
All right, let's go. So here is the first one. Shit.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is it busted?
I mean, it could have been, but no.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what
I was thinking busted or damn, yeah.
Yeah. That was, yeah. I was really happy about that. That was really fun. Okay, next one. It's when you don't sleep well.
Sleep well.
It's when you don't sleep.
3 a.m.
Ooh, that's a good one, but no.
In my house, it's always argue.
I mean, yeah, but
It's
no.
a long day, isn't it?
It is long day. Yeah,
Oh,
it's a long day when you don't sleep well.
Say, in my house, it's always argue because I have my kids and they don't sleep well. Holy crap, does that make for a long? It makes for a long day.
Yeah.
You should have said daylight savings time in my house the last couple of weeks.
Oh my gosh, for sure. All right, so let's get into those tracks that are our least favorites. Now, I'm going to go last on this one. Steve knows why I'm going to go last.
Yes.
Because I want to have a conversation about it. But
you will.
Yep. So Lance, let's start with you, man. What was your least favorite track on this album?
Probably have to go with Cody.
Okay.
Wasn't a huge fan of it. Not a huge fan of the name Cody either. An ex-girlfriend from 2003. But I don't know. Just it doesn't really do it for me. I'm not basing it purely on her. That was ancient history.
I mean,
like 13, but
if we get an angry,
we don't
if we
judge
get an angry email, I'm just going to direct her to you. So
she's the type of person to hunt me down all these years later as a 30-year-old man. So maybe that's a possibility.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious.
It says more about you than her at this situation.
That
I'm
is
just putting
true.
that out there.
Yeah, it is.
That's true. That's true.
I love it.
Oh man, Steve, what about you, man?
Dude, I didn't have one. I listened to this album so many times. I really couldn't
Not the
find
rules
one
of the. It's not the rules of our
sorry.
episode.
I tried.
I'm just kidding.
I
You know
couldn't-
I've done that.
I know.
before, too.
I listened to this album so many times, and the album flows so well, even though it's an incredibly sad, upbeat album, which is weird, all at the same time. Like it's one of those. It is a house cleaning album. Like you can put it on and just move through it, and it's fine. I really couldn't find a least favorite on there. It's so nostalgic for me that it just is like, nah. I didn't want to. I was nitpicking at that point, so I didn't have one. Now, Brandon, I know what your least favorite is, and I'm gonna give you shit for it in a minute here, but go for it.
I picked Push as my least favorite track.
Now, why?
Because it seems like a very dangerous and unhealthy track. The song seems, well, it doesn't seem, it is borderline abusive. And that was my initial take on it. I did do a little bit of research on it just to kind of like, what was the meaning behind this track? Because like, this is showing some cards, man, if this is how this guy truly feels about life. So my, it is a domestic violence thing, and how I initially took it was abuse from him to her. But the way that Rob mentioned it is that it's actually flipped, where it's her to him. So what is your guys' take on that? Now I know, Lance, you said you're more of you just talked about Chris Brown, so I don't really, we'll see. But what is your guys' take on that whole aspect of it?
Well, I always thought that for years, I never really picked up on it until like a couple of when the Me Too thing really started becoming mainstream and starting to get pushed. And I started listening to the song, and I was the same. I thought it was about him pushing her around. I want to push you around,
right?
But then, someone mentioned to me that what you said, it's from like the flip from his perspective. Oh, sorry, from her perspective on him. So
yeah.
I agree. Like it's a song that you probably couldn't do today, but I mean, in the context of the time,
I completely agree.
I think you probably could do it today, but it wouldn't be a single. It wouldn't be something you push out there to be public out how it was done, unless it would take a shit ton of PR to do it, and like to have it done. And then everybody want to know who the girl was, and they want her name and to hunt her down because you hurt Rob Thomas. So like it'd be. In the present day woke territory that we find ourselves currently in, there'd be a witch hunt for somebody. Like nothing like this would come out because it would be a complete witch hunt. So I did read his interview from back in the mid 90s about this, because it came out a couple of years after, the song came out, and him and the lead guitar player who wrote the song, they were just like, wait, what? That wasn't. They were like dumbfounded. They just said, and the interview you guys mentioned is like, no, it was about her beating on him. And it was, but I can see that. And actually, the funny, I thought was funny in the interview, Rob Thomas actually says, dude, I'm like 5'9", like 140 pounds. Like, and she said, and she was not that small. I'm not beating up anybody. Like, for one, and for two, she could definitely handle it. He got his ass kicked a couple of times by this woman. So like he made jokes about it because it was the 90s and you kind of could 2. But yeah, there's no way this song is going to be as out there as it was when this came out now.
for sure.
It's super deep though. I mean, like there's
Mm.
so many hidden meanings behind all of the songs. It's kind of
Yeah.
gets me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So those were our least favorites. Steve, did you talk about your least favorite already? No,
I
you did,
didn't
'cause that
have
was
one.
last. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't know how to.
I bitched out.
That's true. All right, so guys, it's time to play our next game. It's time for the Shatner's Poetry Slam. And
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Shatner's Poetry Slam.
how this one works, guys, and Lance, is I've taken two other tracks outside of the tracks that we did for the word association name game, and I'm basically going to be reading the lyrics, and you and Steve have to come up with which track I am talking, because I'm not going to be singing because nobody likes to hear that. So, all right. So here
This is gonna be better than like doing like Drake when you have to swing and you couldn't say half of the words.
It's true. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so here's the first one. She grabs her magazines, she packs her things, and she goes. She leaves the pictures hanging on the wall. She burns all her notes, and she knows she's been here too. A few years to feel this old.
It's one of the singles.
He smokes his cigarette. He
3
stays. What? Nope.
Is it Long Day?
Nope. He stays outside till it's gone. If anybody ever had a heart, well,
Back to Good.
nope.
Damn.
Well, he wouldn't be alone. He knows she's been here too few years to be gone. And we always say it would be good to go away someday. You guys want me to just tell you?
Is it Real World?
No.
What is it?
I'm gonna
Hang.
loss.
Hang?
Hang. Okay. Yep.
Yep. It's Hang.
It sounded like a friggin' single. I'm just saying.
I know, for sure.
All of these songs sound like singles. I'm just.
Mm.
Yep. All right. Next one. This is the last one. Next one. Well, I wonder what it's like to be a rainmaker.
Real world.
Yes. Nailed it.
Yes.
Look at that. First line.
Well,
First line of the song.
that would make
nailed
sense.
It. Yep.
I wasn't
Yep.
coming in at hot favorites after publicly admitting I don't listen to lyrics, but I got that one. In the bag,
That was
which is
quick.
good.
That was good. That was good. So
Yeah,
now
it's hard for me to. I understand.
for sure. So let's get into our deep cut dark horse tracks. Steve, did you have one of those tracks, that kind of just you might push people toward to say, hey, you really need to listen to this track?
I did. It was Lance's least favorite, so it's kind of funny.
Oh man.
No, it was Cody. So mostly because of the emotion that's on Rob's voice and kind of how he delivers it. So the song itself is super deep. Having to sing a song about it was Rob's current girlfriend's nephew passed away at the age of 2 after a failed operation. That's what the song's about. And this is his perspective of going through the grieving process with her from an outside, like he was outside of it, but he saw everything and it just kind of hit him super hard. I feel in this song, you can kind of feel the pain and the grief that everyone is feeling. And I feel like Rob just portrays it so well, even though he was like a backseat to all of what was going on, it still hit him super hard. And I felt like it was kind of nice. And like one of those ones where you have to actually read the lyrics and like kind of go the backstory a little bit on it to figure out what's going on. But I liked, like, this is actually one of the sad songs that wasn't upbeat. Like it was a perfect, like sad, deep, dark song. And I just liked the fact that you could really tell the full emotion, and it was truly the emotion on the song. It wasn't like I'm happy and you suck, but it was actually I'm really sad and it's okay. So I liked Cody. Cody was my dark horse.
Okay.
What about you, Lance? What was your deep cut?
My one would have to be Girl Like That. And I know it's going to sound a little bit strange, but bear with me. I think that song sort of epitomizes that album in full. I mean, it has aspects of their fun from their singles, like and their rockier side with like Long Day and then 3 a.m. But I also think it adds elements from like Back to Good and some of that slower stuff in there as well, with the feeling in between the chorus, like on the bridge and things. So I think it's sort of like if I was going to suggest this album and say you've got to listen to this song to sort of sell it, I'd probably say Girl Like That, just because it has a mix of everything in that one song.
I
like
understand.
it.
That's perfect. It's literally is my favorite track on the album. Like, and I can't believe it wasn't a single.
Mm.
Like, of all of the singles that are there, it's not any better or worse than any of the singles, but it's so good.
Mhm.
What about you, Brandon?
sure.
What was your deep cut?
I picked Damn.
Well, damn.
Damn.
I did. I picked this one. Now, our listeners know, but I'm very much, when it comes to our reviews, I am very much I like the music, the beat, the whatever, and then how it kind of relates to the lyrics, and how it all kind of works together, the construction of the music and stuff. And this one really, I liked how the music was accompanied the lyrics on this one. It's one where, again, nobody really knows this track, and it's one that I would say, hey, this one is really super good. The blend of music and lyrics is really, really good. So that's the one that I picked. Damn. And I just wanted to say damn on my podcast.
Damn.
Of course you did.
Damn. Right. So let's get into kind of our final thoughts on the album as a whole, and let's give it a rating from 1 to 10. I'll start, since I'm already talking. Lyrically, the stories that these guys write are really, really good, and are communicated well. Initially, when I did my review, I was very much stuck in my thoughts of Push at the time. And so I was like, man, what's really going on with this one? But I've listened to it. Steve and I have talked about it multiple times since my initial deep dive into it. And I'll give it more of I have listened to it. I've come around to it a little bit more, and taking into consideration when it came out versus 2022, how it would, because I don't know if all of these tracks would line up today. But in 1990, whatever, it did. So I am giving this one actually a 6.5 out of 10.
Bad.
Yeah.
All right, Lance, what about you?
Look, I don't think it's going to be any surprise. I'm going to give it 10 out of 10.
Go for it, man.
Purely because for me, there's lots of songs and singles and things from that era, and in the context of when it came out, of things that I can listen to, and I sort of get sick of some 90 songs after hearing it, especially albums. I think probably one of the only other albums I like from the 90s that I can still listen to, of course, probably Alanis Morissette's one, Jagged Little Pill.
Oh yeah.
But like Matchbox 20, this album, I can listen to all the songs and sort of never get sick of it. Still, I own it on iTunes, and I still, even today, play through it, and I still sing it, and I never get sick of the tracks. And I think in the context of from when it came out, I think it was because clearly now it probably struggle if you were to release it in the modern sort of era of music, but for it to still hold up, at least for me personally, to today, I think 10 out of 10.
And I think it does hold up, especially, but for some of those people, it won't hold up. But whatever. But I think
era
as a whole,
the era that we're in, it'd be hard. But in the musically, it's if you look at it straight from where it was to where it is now, it's perfect. It's the snapshot of where we were musically at that point of time. So I liked it though. I mean, when you first said this one, I was just like, yeah, let's do that one. I haven't listened to that in a while. I know it's a good album. Let's check it out. I looked back kind of at this album, kind of like period piece wise, kind of where it came into the fold. It came in kind of after the grunge scene was kind of tailing off. I mean, you caught the Seattle Nirvana was pittering out. Nothing was really going on there. And it was like right before we got into like the new metal, like alt rock, like hard alt rock time. This was like, they call this like rock music, but for me, it's like contemporary, like it's like our version of soft rock. It is. It is, but it opened the door and kind of paved the way for bands like Three Doors Down, Maroon 5, The Fray, and this other like rockier type bands, but have good melody with a good lead singer that can just go for it. And then it did give us Rob Thomas, who went on to do his own solo stuff and then came back to Matchbox. He kind of hootied it for a while, and then he kind of came back. But which I told Brandon eventually we want to do the Santana album Supernatural when he did Smooth on there, because that's just like shot on a different stratosphere of who he was.
Yeah.
My favorite Rob Thomas though is always gonna be the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where he's on there, where he's in the mental hospital with Sinbad.
Oh
It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Dennis Reynolds' An Erotic Life. It's one of my favorite episodes of all time, and Rob Thomas just shows up. Matchbox 20? Yeah. Crazy ass Rob Thomas. But for the album though, it's front loaded. It's very front loaded. The first, 5 of the first 6 tracks are singles. But the whole first tracks have been heavily played in the radio or very popular going forward there. But the last 6 tracks really aren't bad either. It's a smooth, easy listening all the way straight through. That first half, the album's gonna rope you right in because you know those tracks, you've heard them all. But the back half is something where you're like, man, this is still good all the way straight through. It's just, you can't release 12 singles unless you're Luke Bryan, then you can do that. And they're all gonna be hot garbage. But ultimately, the band has a place in music history. This album was fantastic, and significant to when it came out. For me, it was an 8 out of 10. Give it an 8. I thought it was good. I liked it. So that has been Matchbox, Yourself, or Someone Like You. Now, Lance, we did mention that you are a radio DJ and you're a busy guy down there in Australia. Do you do anything that our listeners can find you on?
Yes, so I host 2 podcasts, one FOXXY Fridays, another Caught Offside, which is for NRL Rugby League. I don't know how popular it is over there in the States. I know you guys love your NFL.
I'm sure we've got some. Yeah, we've got some rugby fans. I like rugby.
To be honest, I think rugby league is the most electrifying game on earth. I could be biased though because I grew up with rugby league. But we will never compete with the Super Bowl though.
No,
unfortunately. So yeah, I do those, and plus on my Facebook page. So my last Facebook page got hacked, so I'm completely locked out. So I had to start a new one, and in the process of building all my content back up again. But I do regular mashups and things like or pop rock music. Just like your commercial songs, and they go across the radio, and I do videos up for them and put them up on my Facebook. So they're all there to enjoy if you like.
Fantastic. We'll share the links on our show notes, guys, and definitely will tag you when this comes out. This is actually coming out. I want to say this one is April 8th, a couple weeks from now. So just Beautiful. 2 weeks from now. So yeah, so it's coming out. You're following up after Rage Against the Machine, so it's kind of funny. We're doing Rage Against the Machine on Tuesday, and then you're coming up on Friday, so it's gonna be a good week.
It's gonna be a hot content week.
It's a hot week. I love that. It's awesome. And then the next Tuesday we're doing John Baptiste, his new one, which is a fantastic album. If you haven't heard that one yet, it's amazing. But I appreciate you coming on. This is gonna be
this has been so much fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully get you back on sometime again. Got to make sure the timelines all line up for it. But if you got something else you want to throw at us, definitely, dude. We'll be happy to talk to you again. Maybe Brandon and I'll talk about some rugby and come on, hang out with the rugby podcast.
Oh, I love it.
Or we can talk shit about the NFL versus rugby, which is what we do. So it's okay.
A couple of beers deep, and we're already on the reporting list for the NFL.
Hey, I got it, man. It's all right. We'll piss off Goodell on our front. We're fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. Well, guys, this has been Matchbox 20 with Lance down in Queensland, Australia, guys. Thank you for listening. We will, as always, I am Steve.
I'm Brandon.
I almost fucked that up.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Notes, my goats. Notes, my goats.